played a techno. I think there were many of us. We seemed to wear these sort of like PVC apparel. It was a camp fair, but I loved it. Like, it was my first time being on a set, and I was just, the whole, you know, mechanism of how it was shot and the amount of people involved. I had some idea that there was going to be more than just the actors, but not this entire sort of like troop army of other people doing God knows what. But yeah, and I was entirely freaked out as well. I remember I had one line, something like "Take me to your leader," something like that, and yeah, I was totally freaked out by something. I think the weird thing is like the less lines you have in something, sometimes that line becomes far more scary than a whole monologue for some reason, because you think that wee piece that you have to add to the puzzle, if you stuff that up, the whole thing would, you know, you'd be the reason that this whole scene, this whole take had stuffed up because you didn't say "take me to your leader." And so yeah, I was really freaked out, but I had a great time. I was playing this character Reese, who's kind of like a devil may care kind of like guy who got her pregnant and then skived off, and that was kind of the catalyst for her story. But I told my whole family about this, that I was going to be on this, and then there was just like, it just started with this montage, this sex montage that went on for like, I don't know, 10 minutes, and then from then on, like every time I've told my family about something that I'm doing, they all just like, it's not going to be like that experience, like, because like all my extended family had just sit there and just watch that. So that's always been sort of tainted my experience of sharing future work. But overall, it wasn't all like that, and it was a great piece to be working on. And Fiona Sammy was fantastic. She had written the piece as well, and she just knew the characters all very, very well, and so it was a very rich experience during the rehearsal process to go in there with someone who's written the piece. And that's what I guess you get on a telefeature and film more than you get on television. And so, yeah, that was a really rewarding experience, and such a worthy story to tell as well. I was playing Jason, who was the husband to Keisha Castle Hughes's character. She was, I can't remember her name, but she was called, oh no, yes I can, Maya. And she was the creator. She was the embodiment of God in a human. And it was this clip episode where they pulled together all like flashbacks from other episodes and tied it into a new story for budgetary reasons. And she was the star, and I was her much trampled upon husband, who I spent a lot of time saying, "Come back to me, Maya." Interesting when you're doing your scene. Like, I had to do my scene with the core cast, and then they moved on to their next bit, and I did it with they turned around on me, but I did it with a stand-in. So it was like, oh, okay, this is proper acting now. I have to imagine that you could probably just do it to a stick on the wall or something. Yeah. So yeah, but no, that was great fun. That was the first time I got to play like someone who was over the pale morally, and I actually really liked that. I don't know what that says about me, but I liked I think with darker characters, with, well, the baddies, you can afford to push it a little bit more, and maybe you're allowed to be a bit more theatrical sometimes, I'm not sure. Yeah. So that was fun. That was fun in Go Girls, and my first opportunity to be part of the SPP machine, and the amazing machine that it is, and work with those writers, Gavin and Rachel Lang, who, yeah, and work on their stuff, which was cool. And yeah, I got to get in there in that final part of Go Girls before it swapped over, and work with that cast as well, which was great, because they were all like, yeah, they were really fantastic. Interesting to play that role, because when it was like, he's the bad guy, but for me, I was like, well, he's kind of the hero here, because he's the visionary who pulled off these crazy, amazing things in that era, where they managed to get a boat full of tie sticks over from, like, and they didn't know how to sail. It's preposterous what they achieved, and that was just by far the biggest thing that I had done at that time. And so I really just sort of was like, I'll just chuck myself in and go for it, and be guided by that team. And it was shot really quickly, so there wasn't a lot of time for thinking. And yeah, much like Marty's life, I think. So it kind of mirrored that. It was like a lot of minutes shot in a day and just going for it. Sometimes it felt like with this cast, you could make a really great sitcom. Like, this is supposed to be drama, but just as soon as it could cut, I was like, our personalities together, I was just like, this is hilarious. Like, it was some quite hilarious moments of being trapped in the set, which was really beautifully realised. So it felt very much like we were really just trapped in this cabin, with Errol Shan terrorising us from the outside, as he does so well. And yeah, it was a great process, and we had Mr. Lang directing us, and that was also a screen time project, and it's been great working with them because they have a great connection in many respects to that crime storytelling, because they do it with reality so often, and yeah, they just really know that, and they know that world really well. So yeah, that was great fun. I just come back from overseas, so I wasn't here for any of the audition process, and I think someone had become unavailable, and so I was very quickly down in Mount Cook wearing this full replica of the Everest Quest costume, and yeah, it was there up a mountain going to work in a chopper. It was epic, and actually experienced actual altitude, the effects of altitude, which are very real. Like, yeah, you just slow down, and I was like, why am I feeling like I just can't remember what the direction was? And it was just, yeah, we were just up so many meters up this mountain. With that production, we were very much there to recreate something. So there's a little bit we could do, which was sort of an observational of the original footage and sort of play that out. But yeah, every time you still get the performance anxiety of going, oh man, getting everything they want here. But at the end of the day, I was wearing a giant mask, so how could they see? They couldn't see. I could have been doing anything under there. Yeah. That was shot really quickly, and it was a sort of self-funded feature in many respects, but we had a great ensemble of guys, and we all got along in real life so well. And so that was that's always for me the thing I always take away with from these productions is I really believe that if you've got that chemistry in real life with people and you relate to them, and the main thing is that you just trust them, then it will be so much better. There were a lot of restraints on filming that production in terms of, it was low budget, and what can you do with those obstacles? How can you overcome them and tell the story creatively? And I think for me it was, working with less resources, and there was a sort of a DIY element to it, which everyone kind of jumped on board with, and I think that's the thing that stood out on that one. Ended up with a part of Lefty, who is Ted West's terribly uncooperative offsider, set 2IC. He's an adulterer, a bigot. He's every list of human foibles that you can imagine, encapsulated in a guy in tight pants. And so that was great. That's great. So we've got Antonia Preble, of course, she's the link to the old show, and Dave Delatour, who's great friend of mine, and yeah, fantastic to work with. And I think the rest of our gang, like the West gang, we've got Panahima Taylor and Xavier Horan and Todd Emerson, and all of us are great mates in real life, but very different. Even though we are playing characters, there's something there that's still, the coordinates are still in place for that dynamic to work. And I guess that's what the magic of casting seeks, is to make those things in line so that everything can just flow through it. So it's great when you go to work and you feel like you're hanging out with your friends. That's the ultimate.